So we've all been there, right? Using tools like ChatGPT for, I don't know, writing a poem, debugging some code, maybe even planning a whole vacation. And it feels like pure magic. But in this explainer, we're going to pull back that curtain. We're going to find out how it actually works.
To really get what makes it so special, let's just look at a prompt someone might actually use. Now, this isn't some simple, what's the capital of France kind of thing. No, this is a creative, layered request. It's asking the AI to understand a super complex topic and break it down for a totally different audience.
And bam! Look at that response. It's simple, it works, and that analogy, it's perfect. The AI didn't just spit out some dry textbook definition. It totally got the nuance of the request and came back with something genuinely creative. That's the cool part. Yeah, it really, really does feel like magic. But you and I know it's not. It's a series of incredibly complex processes, but they are understandable. So let's get to the bottom of it. Let's answer that big question. What is actually going on inside the machine the second you hit enter?
All right, let's dive right in. To figure out how ChatGPT comes up with an answer, we've got to start with how it even reads your question in the first place. Because here's the thing. It doesn't see words and sentences the way we do at all.
First thing that happens, your prompt gets shattered into these little pieces called tokens. Think of them like Lego bricks, but for language. A whole word can be a token, sure, but so can just a piece of a word, like the ing at the end of running, or even just a simple comma. This is step one, translating our language into something a machine can actually chew on. So this whole process basically breaks down into 3 key steps. First, you've got tokenization. That's breaking your prompt into those Lego bricks. Then there's embedding, where each one of those tokens gets turned into a string of numbers. And finally, you get to the processing stage. This is where the AI's brain really gets to work, trying to figure out what you actually meant.
And that brain I just mentioned, it's called the transformer. And honestly, this is the absolute game-changing piece of the puzzle. See, instead of reading a sentence one word at a time, the transformer looks at your entire prompt all at once. Older models, they'd get to the end of a long sentence and kind of forget what the beginning was about. But by seeing everything at the same time, the transformer gets the context. It understands how a word way over here can completely change the meaning of a word way over there. And that is the breakthrough.
And this right here is why ChatGPT feels like you're having a real conversation. You know those simple chatbots where every single question you ask is a totally new thing? ChatGPT doesn't do that. It uses this really clever system where each message you send is linked to the one before it, creating this memory thread. That's how it knows what it is when you type back, "Can you make it shorter?" It remembers. Okay, so we have this powerful brain, but what's really fascinating is how it was taught to think. It wasn't just, programmed with a bunch of rules. Not at all. It was trained on a mind-boggling amount of text that we humans created.
In this whole journey, it happened incredibly fast. The first GPT model came out in 2018, and that was a big deal. But the real leap, the huge one, was GPT-3 just 2 years later. That's what set the stage for the public launch of ChatGPT, and boom, everything changed.
So the training itself happens in 2 main phases. Phase 1 is called pre-training. The best way to think about this is like making the AI read a giant digital library. I'm talking a huge chunk of the internet. Books, articles, websites, even code. The key here is that it's not memorizing facts. It's learning the patterns, the grammar, the logic, the way ideas connect in human language. And its core knowledge base for this training was everything up to August 2023.
Then comes phase 2, and this is where it gets really refined. It's a mouthful, but it's called reinforcement learning from human feedback, or just RLHF. Basically, real humans would look at different answers the AI gave and rank them. They'd say, yep, this one's better, or nope, this one is totally unhelpful, or this one's more accurate. All that feedback then trains a separate reward model. You can think of it like a teacher that's constantly guiding the main AI, pushing it to create answers that we humans actually find useful and, less weird.
Okay, so now we know how the engine works under the hood. So let's talk about how we can all become better drivers. Because look, understanding the tech is one thing, but using it effectively, that's what really unlocks its true power. First off, you gotta know that not all versions are created equal. The free plan is awesome, don't get me wrong, it's super powerful, but the paid plans are where you get access to the really advanced models and the coolest features, which we're gonna look at right now. Yet with a paid plan, you get some incredible power-ups. You can actually choose different AI models for different jobs, like using the O1 model when you need some serious heavy-duty reasoning. You get projects to keep all your chats and files organized, something called Canvas to edit tiny parts of an answer without redoing the whole thing, and my personal favorite, custom GPTs. These let you build your very own specialized version of ChatGPT for one specific task. It's so cool.
But honestly, the biggest power-up of all, it comes from you. It's all about your prompts. Let's take a look. Most of us start with something really simple and generic like this. And what do you get back? Well, usually something just as generic, like a wall of dense, technical text that's not super helpful.
Okay, now watch this. Watch what happens when we use what's called a role prompt. We're not just asking for information anymore. We're giving the AI a persona, a context, and a specific audience to talk to. This one little change completely transforms the entire interaction.
And look at that! The difference is just night and day. You go from that generic data dump on the left to a genuinely useful, perfectly tailored explanation on the right. Just by giving the AI a role, you're not just asking what anymore, you're telling it how. And that, my friends, changes everything.
So when you step back and put all these pieces together, what do you actually have? It's clearly not just a fancy search engine, and it's more than a digital encyclopedia. It's something fundamentally new.
All right, so let's just recap the big stuff. We've learned that it understands our language using those little tokens and that incredible transformer brain. We know it remembers your conversation by linking messages together. We've seen how it was trained in 2 phases, first by absorbing the internet and then being fine-tuned by actual people. And maybe most importantly, we learned that you are the one who really unlocks its power with better prompting.
You know, when you really think about it, ChatGPT isn't just an answer machine. It's more like a tool for thought. It's a creative partner, your own personal AI co-pilot. And now that you know how the engine works, the only real question left is, what are you going to create with it?